We're going to take a road trip. Like Drew said, my name's Sergio Chapa, and I'm a journalist. I write about, I tweet, I Facebook, I Instagram what I see, okay? And in my 12 years as a journalist, I've seen a lot. And we're all familiar with the negative stereotypes about the border. But you know what? Like, take a look at this picture. I've also seen its beauty. And there are dual realities here on the U.S.-Mexico border. There's wealth and poverty. There's industrial landscapes. There's amazing natural beauty. There's brutal crime, but there's also compassion, okay? And so when you leave here today, what I want and what I hope for is that you'll leave with a new appreciation for a region that I love, the border, okay? But where are we, okay? We're in the Rio Grande Valley, population about 1.3 million people. Just across the border, another 1.4 million people. But even with like 12 international bridges, an international rail line, an international ferry, the other side of the border remains a mystery for many people. What I'm here today and what I hope to do is just cut through some of that mystery. Now, as a journalist, I'm very privileged to have worked on both sides of the border over the past decade. And like I said, there's negative stereotypes, drug cartels, shootouts, kidnappings, illegal immigration, but the border's more than that. So both myself and my professor friend, Guadalupe Correa Cabrera, we decided we wanted to see the border for ourselves. We wanted to see the good and the bad, so we took a road trip. We started in Brownsville, and we went all the way to El Paso driving along the border. And we saw a lot of things, amazing things. And we took a second trip from El Paso to Tijuana. That way we could see the whole thing from the Gulf of Mexico to the Pacific Ocean. A lot of the images you're going to see today in this slideshow are from that first trip. We're going to start off at the very beginning at the Gulf of Mexico at Boca Chica Beach. Now, Boca Chica Beach on the American side of the border is undeveloped. It's a wilderness. But right at the mouth of the Rio Grande, on the Mexican side, it's a party. People are there on jet skis, on boats, and everything. But even with the Border Patrol going up and down the beach, there's still a lot of wildlife and a lot of amazing things to be seen, like this monarch butterfly just soaking up minerals on the sand. But let's get on the Mexican side of the beach. It's a lot more interesting and colorful. This is from Playa Bagdad, which in Spanish means Baghdad Beach. Now, most of the year, it's a sleepy fishing village filled with fishermen, but during Semana Santa in the summertime, it transforms, welcoming tourists from all over northeastern Mexico. But if you go a little further down the coast, you get to El Mezquital, and that's where you see very tall sand dunes, 40, 50, 60 feet tall, taller than the ones we have on South Padre Island. You also see sky blue waters, and you also meet humble fishermen like this guy. Now, a lot of Valley residents are afraid of the city of Matamoros because of its negative image, but actually it's a really cool place. It's filled with amazing traditions and festivals. This picture was from the 16 de Septiembre, the Mexican Independence Day celebration. But there's also Fiestas Mexicanas, which is the companion festival to Brownsville's Charo Days. And lately, they started something new. It's a social bike ride to celebrate the Dia de los Muertos. There are busy shopping centers in Matamoros. Let's go back. But there's also people eking out a living at the city dump. And let's just hop back to the American side of the border in the southmost area of Brownsville where the border fence is at. The federal officials built it to stop illegal immigration and drug trafficking, but it's also created a unique dilemma for the Sable Palm Sanctuary, which is on the quote-unquote Mexican side of the fence. It's one of the last intact strands of Sable Palm Forest in the entire valley. And of course, there's downtown Brownsville, which comes to life during Charo Days, showing off the culture of both sides of the border. Now, on this trip, on this slideshow, we're going down Military Highway to the Colonia Galaxia neighborhood of Brownsville, where the border fence is literally built in the backyard of homes. That trampoline isn't used to jump over the border fence, of course, so it's just for fun. And then if you take Military Highway down, you get to Los Indios, which for me is an interesting place because it's an international place. It's where Central American immigrants known as transmigrantes take, used cars, toys, and clothes back home to El Salvador, Honduras, and Guatemala. Military Highway is a great place. I love driving there in the spring because of the smell. I love the smell of the onions growing out there. It's great. But they also have sugarcane and this old Gothic architecture church in Santa Maria. Here we are at Progreso Lakes. When we talk about that contrast, wealth and poverty, this is one of the wealthy parts of the border, and it's right there along the river. Nice luxury homes built along Resaca Lakes. But then right across the border, you have Nuevo Progreso. And now Nuevo Progreso is a very interesting place because it's still popular with American tourists. There's bars and shops and restaurants and lots of interesting souvenirs and things to take pictures of. And for me, my favorite, lunches, the street vendors. But as you continue down Military Highway, you come to, Hidalgo and McAllen, and here you hit the free trade zone, right south of town, maquiladoras and all that. But you can also get to the the town of Granjeño, which, as you see there, was founded in 1767, hundreds of years old. Granjeño is another community along the border fence, and it's right next to the Anzalduas Bridge, which you can see right there. And it's also home to the Anzalduas Dam, which you can get pretty close up to it at Anzalduas Park. Now, because the water there at Anzalduas is below the dam is very rocky and shallow, it's a popular spot for illegal immigration. So you'll see gunboats from the DPS and Border Patrol there patrolling the waters. But you know what? It's also home to the La Lomita Church, an old Spanish-era church, and then also the La Lomita Chapel. And then you have down there you have Chimney Park. It was an old mill where they built, the only thing that remains from it is that chimney stack. And but we want to see the other side of the border, and here's Reynosa, a city of nearly 1 million people. That's almost as many people. It's the largest city in Tamaulipas. It's a complex city with highways and bridges, and it's also got a very nice airport that has cheap flights that take you into the interior of Mexico, cheaper than even here on our side, for those who are adventurous enough to cross. There are notable landmarks like this cathedral in downtown Reynosa. There's busy shopping centers with familiar stores like H-E-B, Walmart, Sam's Club. You can find all those in Reynosa. But you can also see carts like this horse-drawn cart to pick up trash. It's such a contrast. It's amazing over there. You also see interesting little touches like this. Like on the Mexican side of Anzalduas Dam, you can get very close and you can see like a little shrine. There's also the Reynosa Zoo, and they're famous for their boat called the Pachamama. If you haven't been, I highly recommend you take it. It's just like $2, $2 a beer, and then they give you great hats and souvenirs, and they play loud music while you go up and down the Rio Grande River. Now, back on the American side of the border, we're going to take a little pit stop in some of the colonias. Those are the small, unincorporated, undeveloped neighborhoods here in Hidalgo County. This one's from Citrus City, and as you can see, there's graffiti, but it also makes such a big contrast with beautiful things like the sunset. In La Jolla, they have a pretty unique place. It's called Rancho El Charco, and it's just this park built on a resaca. It's a good popular spot for winter Texans, but also just grab a beer or some nachos. But for me, and our trip, we want to look at, I don't know if any of y'all have been, but the Los Ebanos Ferry is definitely worth a visit. It's only $1 to cross, and it's a hand-drawn international ferry boat that can carry cars and passengers across the Rio Grande River. But guess what? It's also a good spot for fishing. Look at that catan, almost 3 feet tall. It's an alligator gar, prehistoric fish. And occasionally, there's a herd of goats that wanders across the customs area. But that's just life in Los Ebanos. And, of course, there's always Border Patrol helicopters whirling ahead. And it's interesting to note that Los Ebanos is one of the poorest towns in the whole valley. But you know what? This is one of my favorite places. This is Starr County. Santa Cruz. It's a life-size crucifix built on a hill overlooking Rio Grande City. But it's also one of my favorite places because there are hidden things like this cave here with it's like a shrine to San Judas Tadeo, a Catholic saint. But it also has amazing diversity of plants and cactuses out there if you take the time to look. Rio Grande City, downtown Rio Grande City, they're proud of their history, and most people don't know this, but there's a replica of the Shrine of Lourdes in downtown Rio Grande City. You won't see it on the expressway. You've got to get off and walk a couple blocks to get to it, though. But it's well worth it. Now, in continuing, many people here, I bet, haven't been to the city of Camargo, but both me and Lupita have. We've been on our trip. It's a very interesting place. Now, it's across the river from Rio Grande City. You go across the bridge on this. It's called the Sri, and I have to look at this, Sri Chinmoy Peace Bridge. It's named after an Indian-born spiritual leader, a guru, back in the 1900s. Now, Camargo was one of the worst places in the drug war 5 years ago, but today it's a lot more peaceful place. You can take these lonely highways out in the country, out in the foothills towards the Sierra Madres, and then you can get to a reservoir named the Marte R. Gomez Reservoir, but people just call it Sugar Lake because the fishing there is so sweet. There's a resort hotel there at the lake, and there's also black bass fishing tournaments that draw people from both sides of the border, with participants coming as far away as Dallas. Of course, there's this shrine to the San Judas Tadeo, which was one of the most grisly crime scenes in the drug war there. It's also in Camargo. But then another thing with Camargo is that Hurricane Alex was also devastating. It washed out this bridge right south of the dam, but the bridge was never repaired. As you can see, it's a battle zone, bullet holes, or a testament to gun battles there. We're going to hop back across the border and go to one of my favorite towns in the valley, Roma. I love Roma because of its architecture, and you can see its old homes in the downtown area. They're very photogenic, but it also has the Roma Bluffs. And it's one of my favorite spots in the valley because you can see across from Mexico. You get a high view of Miguel Alemán, Tamaulipas. It has beautiful sunsets, beautiful. One of the most beautiful in the valley. And you can also walk down to the river from there, and you can see the two bridges, the old suspension bridge and the new one. But it's very heavily patrolled by Border Patrol. Our next stop would be Falcon Lake. It's a hydroelectric dam used as a power source, but it also has unique plant life from the Chihuahuan Desert, if you take the time to look. There's the Rio Grande River. The bridge is, like I said, it's a hydroelectric power source, but it's also an international bridge that'll take you to Mexico. And where it takes you is one of the most interesting places on either side of the border. It's a mystery ghost town called Guerrero Viejo. And it was originally founded in 1750, but it's underwater when the water rises. You can only see it when the drought. Let's take a look here. And then if you go to La Gloria, you can go to the bullfighting ring. It's one of the few bloodless bullfighting rings in the United States, with old churches and amazing sunsets, wind farms. And then we have the Delta Lake area with the Delta Lake Hotel. And then there's agriculture, colonias like Indian Hills, the old city dump in Donna, grass farms, Donna Lake, which is poisonous. And then, of course, there's one of my favorite places in the valley is the Sal del Rey Lake. It's a salt lake. So it's been drawing Indians since ancient times, Spaniards, modern-day tourists. There's 3 lakes, Sal del Rey, La Sal Blanca, and La Sal Vieja. This one's the La Sal Vieja near Raymondville. You can walk around in it and get your feet exfoliated by the sand and the salt. But I love it because it's an amazing alien landscape out there, right here in our own backyard. And then, of course, there's Port Mansfield, known for its sports fishing. But also Willacy County is one of the least populated counties in the valley, but it's also one of the most modern because of their wind farms, 21st century technology. So I just want to say thank you again for giving me this opportunity to speak and show you some of my favorite places in the Rio Grande Valley. So thank you.